new Samsung Galaxy A36 absolutely free with a $35 plan from Pure Talk. The A36 comes with scratch-resistant Gorilla Glass and a battery that'll last all day, along with unlimited talk, text, and data on America's most dependable 5G network. In other words, it's tough and smart. Something to think about next time you're multitasking in the necessary. Just dial pound 250, say keyword micro to get your free phone today. You can make the switch in just 10 minutes. That's pound 250. Say micro to switch to a no-nonsense smartphone and a company that actually stands for something. Pure.
WICC 695.9. Voice of Connecticut Local News Update.
This update is brought to you by Spectre Furniture. Stay cool and get comfortable with Spectre Furniture and Mattress Gallery. Trusted for 135 years to bring you comfort and style. Visit SpectreFurniture.com. State Senator Ryan Fazio is officially launching his campaign for Connecticut governor. The Greenwich Republican announced his bid through a video posted to his social media pages yesterday. Fazio was first elected to the state Senate in 2021, representing the district that includes the communities of Greenwich, Stamford, and New Canaan. He and Westport First Selectwoman Jen Tooker are the only Republicans who have shared formal plans to seek the office next year. And Fairfield National 12U's quest for the Little League World Series championship game continues with a big win last night over Texas. The 1-0 score was due to a fantastic performance on the mound by Fairfield star pitcher Luca Pellegrini. Team manager Brian Palazzolo spoke at the postgame press conference and said he was proud of his team and proud to be representing Connecticut. The team will face off against Hawaii this Friday at 7, and the game will be on ESPN. For the Voice of Connecticut, WICC, I'm John Kamal.
WICC 695.9, the Voice of Connecticut. Weather update.
Another hot and humid day on the way. There will be scattered showers and thunderstorms through this afternoon with a high in the upper 80s and a breeze out of the south. A few showers or thunderstorms ending this evening, clearing after midnight with a low in the upper 60s to near 70. Friday, sunny and warm, less humid with a high in the mid-80s. Saturday, sunny and warm with a high again in the mid-80s. I'm meteorologist Paul Fiorek on WICC.
It's time. Time for stimulating talk. Time for thought-provoking conversation. Time for the Lisa Wexler Show. Turn on your brain and get the real scoop on today's topics and events. Here is Lisa Wexler.
We have a really amazing show for you today, including Ryan Fazio, who just announced his run officially for governor, and he's making a pit stop in person here with us at 11:05. He'll take your questions. I wouldn't say that he's the odds-on favorite as the Republican nominee, but he's certainly going to make a really healthy go at it. Erin Stewart has raised a lot of money. Jen Tooker's thrown her hat in the race as well. Those are three people vying to be the Republican choice against a governor who has over 60% approval ratings, but hasn't officially announced he's running again. So on the off chance that he isn't, or maybe on the chance that he is, these three young Republican hopefuls, well, two of them are very young, one less young, but nonetheless, all relatively young Republican hopefuls are going to try very hard to see if they can't make the case that Governor Lamont shouldn't serve a third term or that the Democrats shouldn't serve whoever he is. 203-333-9422. Also on our show at 11:30, Kristen Okeson, who is just taken on the role of chairman of the board of the Centers for Family Justice. And she is also the general manager here at Connoisseur. And she's a fabulous woman who wears a tremendous amount of hats, including as a mother of two amazing young boys who happen to be outstanding athletes. And at 10:30, we're going to be introducing our Women's Health Series, which I'm very excited about, and I've been wanting to do for a long time. And thank you to New Vans for sponsoring this. We are going to be doing every month, bringing you a conversation about women's health. And we're going to begin today with Miri Levy, who is a PhD nurse. Okay, how many people do you know can be called doctor rightfully but have nurses training, and a midwife? And she is one of the most outstanding women's health practitioners in the system. I'm so excited she's coming on at 10:30 today. If you have questions about midwifery, OBGYN, all of that kind of care, at 10:30 we're going to line it up. Right now in the studio is John Kamal right here at Connoisseur Media, and he is the host of The Download, which comes here on WICC right after our show. He has been covering pitch to pitch the extraordinary success of the Fairfield Little League team in Williamsport. Wow.
It's really it's been an incredible run, and it continues to be.
They beat Texas.
They beat Texas. They beat Texas last night. So they beat Texas. And what's interesting about this is the score. So the score 1-0. All right. Now, going into this game, and we spoke about this just a couple of days ago, this was a Texas team that has big bats, right? They have a lot of hitting power, right? Very stereotypical Texas, big boys, a lot of power coming out, very offensively minded team, but also great pitching. Now, Fairfield's primary asset has always been their defense, all right? So they have great pitching as well. They also have an incredible outfield capable of shutting down runs and shutting out teams, which is what they've done numerous times. When they win, they tend to shut the other team out.
Like the 12-1 victory.
Like the 12-1 victory, but also East Lyme when they won the state championship, that was 10-0.
Wow.
Right?
Okay.
So when they win, they typically shut the other team out because
that
this
was not
defense
last night.
It was not last night. Why? Because of the pitching. So going into this, they had Luca Pellegrini, which is their star pitcher. Kid's got an incredible arm, but also Texas had a very powerful pitcher, and I want to say the young man's name, Shane Dawes.
There we go.
I could be getting that last name wrong. Shane is definitely the correct last name. But two very powerful pitchers going up against each other. So it really becomes a defensive battle at that point.
I see.
So this is Fairfield's type of game, though. This is the type of game where if they're able to shut down the offense, they're going to eventually be able to squeak out a run because these boys can hit. There is no doubt about it. Like you said, they've had some high-scoring wins, 12 against New York, 10 against East Lyme. So as long as they're able to keep the other team at bay, they're going to get the hit that they need, and all they need is one.
But he also pitched an only one-hit game.
Yes.
So that means if that's the case, they didn't have to do much defense, John. What am I missing?
All I'm saying is
they couldn't get anything off the pitcher. They couldn't get anything on the bat.
It's all about shutting down the other team. It's all about shutting down their bats.
But the person that shut it down was the pitcher.
Yes, correct. Absolutely.
Because one hit, does that mean that there was some sacrifice flies and things like that were caught in the infield or the outfield?
So I was unfortunately not able to watch the entire game because, as an ICC listener might know, I do wake up very early for Melissa in the morning. But yes, this is the point I'm making is that this is Fairfield's type of game. This is the type of game that they do well in. And, I'm looking forward, hopefully later today, for my conversation with Brian Palazzolo, who's the team manager for Fairfield National. We're going to talk a little bit about what Hawaii looks like and what
that's
this
the next game. And when is that?
That's the next game that's coming up this Friday at 7 p.m.
Okay.
And
so they have a few days of rest. Not too much.
Not too much, no. But they're going to want to be at full strength
now,
for that.
Has Hawaii just won another game in the series also?
That's an excellent question. Hawaii had a bye. So they did not play. Their first game will be on Friday.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. Just the way that the schedule works.
So the Fairfield people haven't had a chance to watch them in action in this tournament.
Haven't had a chance to watch them in action in this tournament.
And also they're going to put in their best pitcher.
Well, there's that. The rest is kind of the key component.
Can Luca
here.
pitch again?
I don't know
after
how
a few
many
days rest.
I don't know how many he threw last night. I know that 35 is the cutoff, or at least it was the cutoff.
And how many days?
For 1 day's rest. 35 will be.
Oh, so he will have had rest anyway.
He'll have had his day's rest. If he exceeded 36, though, they'll have to start somebody else.
Oh, really?
Yes. So I'll have to look that up. Again, I hope, part of my hopeful conversation later today with Brian, who's really just done such an incredible job with these boys. And actually, I was just texting with Dylan, who was one of their batting coaches as well. Unfortunately, for the Little League World Series, he's been sidelined a little bit because only a certain number of coaches can work directly with the kids. But he's there and he's rooting these guys on. It's been an incredible run.
Okay, so Hawaii's Friday night.
Yep.
That will be back on ESPN.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much, Sean Kamal, for reporting in. Much appreciated.
You are so welcome.
203-333-9422. We were talking about the fact that if you like Little League and you like a good hometown story, the Fairfield Little League team is in Williamsport, and they survived their first try, their first part in the series, which was a game against Texas. And this pitcher was outstanding, 1-0. Pitched a one-hitter, and then the Fairfield team made it 1-0. Incredible. All right, we're going to be right back. 203-333-9422. Coming up on the show, Ryan Fazio at 11:05. Our Women's Health Matters series kicks off at 10:30 with the midwife, and Kristen Okeson at 11:30. Stay with us.
For the latest news in Southern Connecticut, WICC is where you turn first on 600 AM and now 95.9 on FM. Hear your favorite live and local shows during the week. Melissa in the Morning, The Lisa Wexler Show, Connecticut Today with Paul Piselli on both 600 and 95.9. Plus more live and local news updates on weekends to keep you informed. You found the voice of Connecticut. WICC 600 and 95.9.
Your business or service can reach thousands of listeners with The Lisa Wexler Show. Lisa's listeners are devoted and loyal. They should know how great your business is. Advertise on The Lisa Wexler Show. Lisa will work with you directly to craft a message that resonates with listeners, plus you'll get introduced to the members of The Lisa Wexler Show family. Advertise on The Lisa Wexler Show. Just email Lisa at voiceofct.com. That's Lisa at voiceofct.com.
It's time to protect your business with PPC Alarms Commercial Security Systems. PPC Alarms designs and installs customized security systems, including surveillance cameras, motion detectors, fire and water detection systems, license plate recognition cameras, and fleet management systems. PPC's customizable systems provide unmatched protection tailored to your company's needs, ensuring your business is always secure. Protect your business. Go to ppcalarms.com and get a complimentary evaluation.
Evolve your vehicle ownership experience with Cadillac of Greenwich. Take the hassle out of vehicle maintenance and choose mobile service, where our technicians come to you. We can replace your brakes, change your oil, and update all your maintenance at your home or office. No lines, no traffic, and no inconvenience. We meet you on your terms at CadillacofGreenwich.com, where world-class technicians and superior hospitality come standard. That's CadillacofGreenwich.com.
It's time to make an appointment to tour Forest Hills Milford, one of the newest luxury rental 55 and over communities in Connecticut. Step into a home where every detail is designed to offer ease and comfort. Forest Hills Milford's spacious, brand new luxury apartments include assigned garage parking with elevator access and use modern technologies to bring ease and comfort to everyday living. Nestled in the beauty of Milford, close to beaches, golf, marinas, and more. Visit foresthillsmilford.info to learn more. Forest Hills Milford, home made easy.
Hey, Bridgeport small business owners, you can apply for a $5,000 grant from Optimum Business and the Bridgeport Regional Business Council. The Lifting Up Bridgeport Small Businesses Grant Program is awarding 25 businesses $5,000 grants to develop their business technology and support their success. And your business can be one of them. But hurry, the application deadline is August 15th. To see grant program requirements and apply today, visit optimum.com/business/Bridgeport. Terms apply.
Never met a dent we couldn't smooth out. At Sono Collision, we turn your oopsie daisy into amazing with our top-notch repair. No more crying over crumpled fenders. We'll erase your car's memory of that pesky light pole. Cruise over to Sono Collision today, where even your car forgets its accidents. Visit us at sonocollision.com, because a good car deserves a great recovery.
Tell everyone in Fairfield County what's on your mind. 203-333-9422. The Lisa Wexler Show on WICC 600 and 95.9.
Welcome back. Hola, bola. 203-333-9422. You know, I told you the other day that I had watched Billy Joel documentary parts 1 and 2. So this morning in the news, it says that he's closing his motorcycle shop, which has been around on Long Island for about 15 years. He has a brain disorder diagnosis, but it's he says it's a hydrocephalus, but it's manageable and he'll be okay. But the biggest news, the buried news, is that he's moving to Florida. After all these years, after being so associated and having all of his wealth and fame and fortune basically centered on the east end of Long Island, where he had this $50 million property that Jerry Seinfeld and his wife bought and then tore down the house. I'm not making it up. And then built their own colossal mansion. Then he bought this other beautiful property. He's got his fourth wife with him. He's got 2 daughters. And they're moving to Florida. It doesn't say where in Florida. But I think that's probably the most significant buried news in the news. They're making a big deal about the motorcycle shop. I'm more interested in the fact that he's leaving Long Island altogether. But you know what? He's 80-ish now, right? Isn't Billy Joel 80-ish? Yeah. Speaking of people that are older than 75, James Taylor is coming to the arena in Bridgeport on August 29th, and Bill and I are going to go. A friend of ours got us tickets. We're very excited. So maybe I'll see you there. 203-333-9422. James Taylor is my husband's numero uno. There isn't anybody else who's even a remote second favorite person to listen to music to. And it's his jam. In other words, whenever he's feeling, however he's feeling, he puts on some James Taylor and he feels a lot better. 203-333-9422. A judge has ruled that Alex Jones's InfoWars will go up for sale yet again. This after the winners of the lawsuit against him for defamation threw him into bankruptcy in Texas. He tried to sell his commodities. The judge said, you're getting too little money for that. This is too much of an inside deal. I'm not approving that. Judge Maya Guerra Gamble said in a Wednesday hearing yesterday that InfoWars' parent company, Free Speech Systems, will be turned over to a court-appointed receiver who will be responsible for selling the assets and using the proceeds to pay the debts, ultimately going to the Sandy Hook families that sued him. The order paves the way for The Onion, which is a well-known satirical publication, to revive its bid. That bid went away because so first there was the one where the judge said, no, this is too low. Then this one with The Onion it was too low, but it was also a little bit in cahoots. In other words, the judge didn't like it, or actually Alex Jones people didn't like it, and the judge agreed because they felt that the bidding was too much done with the consultation of the people who are ultimately going to get the money. They didn't think it was arm's length enough. Anyway, we'll see what happens. In the meantime, congratulations to Secretary of State Stephanie Thomas. She has been elected Eastern Region VP of the National Association of Secretaries of State, which is the nation's oldest nonpartisan professional organization for public officials. So congrats to her. She does a great job of being around the state. I saw her most recently at Bill Gerber's funeral, but or actually I might have seen her after that in Westport, but she shows up at a lot of different gatherings, and she lives in Norwalk. She was originally a state rep for a relatively brief period of time, maybe only serving one term, maybe two. And then she decided, after the unexpected resignation of our then current Secretary of State, to put her hat in the ring. It was a rather contested convention. She emerged triumphant, and she's won her elections ever since. Stephanie Thomas, now taking a national leadership role in what secretaries of state do, which is extremely important because what they do is they count the votes. And counting the votes has become something in this country that used to be a given and now is not such a given in this Trump era, where people are insistently and constantly trying to cast doubt over the integrity of our election results. So it's very important. And she's trying to lead from her position. She's led several election reforms in Connecticut, including the launch of early voting, the expansion of automatic voter registration, and getting $25 million in bonding to replace our state's aging tabulators with state-of-the-art new ones. And this was the first upgrade in 20 years of 2,700 machines. In the meantime, speaking of different positions and moving on, the leader of DCF, who is Jody Hill-Lilly, has led the department for about a year and a half. And she has been a social worker with DCF for 30 years. She is retiring and also apparently taking on a national role. She has accepted a position as the director of the Child Wellbeing Program at the Doris Duke Foundation, which may or may not be based in North Carolina. That's where Doris Duke was. That's where Duke University is. But in a news release, Governor Lamont said that I am so appreciative of her dedication to strengthening and improving the lives of Connecticut's children and families. DCF has a staff of about 3,200 people. Hill-Lilly has overseen the 2 children's psychiatric facilities, 14 field offices, a central office, and a clinical support wilderness school. She co-chairs the state's Alcohol and Drug Policy Council. She has risen in the ranks at DCF over the last 37 years. And, of course, the goal of DCF is to protect Connecticut's children and prevent abuse and neglect. It's a very tough spot to be the leader of DCF. Virtually everyone who has done it has found themselves to be criticized for the faults of a system that tries to provide a safety net for our children and can't always manage to do it. And then the blame is laid at DCF, when really the blame is on the abusive and neglectful parents. But we as a society don't know what to do with that. So what we do instead is we blame people who are devoting their lives to this issue. They don't have to. They certainly don't do it for the money. But we blame them, and very often they as individuals feel like they're not properly supported, or they don't have the resources, they don't have the cooperation, the funding, the encouragement, the tools to do what they want to do, which is to prevent every child from any kind of abuse and neglect. And so it's a complicated web. And I'm always sympathetic to the people who work at DCF because I know that they're coming to work every day and they're doing the best they can. But notwithstanding that, there have been some systemic needed changes some of them have happened over the years. I personally think that DCF needs a tremendous amount of scrutiny all the time because notwithstanding their best efforts and intent, the truth is we still have too many people who are abused and neglected in Connecticut. And so you can never do a perfect job, right? You just have to keep trying to aim at getting to do a better job. But Jody Hill-Lilly has recently, she and her organization have been in the hot seat for the case of the Waterbury man who was basically hidden in plain sight for over 20 years after he was swiftly put into a quote-unquote homeschool environment. I say quote-unquote because we know he wasn't educated at all at 11 years old when the principal of the school in Waterbury repeatedly complained to DCF that he believed this boy was being abused at home. And now that we know that he was terribly abused and neglected because he emerged at 68 pounds, cramped over with tremendous deficits, and he is still healing from those and hopefully one day will be as well as he possibly can be. And in the meantime, his stepmother is facing criminal charges, and I'm sure that there are going to be civil charges pending. There'll be all kind of charges that are going to be pending from all kind of directions. But everybody took a look at DCF because they said, this person slipped through your fingers. And how is it that there was a complaint made to you and you walked away? Same thing about the Waterbury police, too. And that may end up being, by the way, the subject of a trial, a civil trial, in which DCF as well as Waterbury police have to defend themselves. Will it ever come to public scrutiny or will it be settled well before? I don't know. But it's a story we've been focusing on. Did that have anything to do with Miss Hill-Lilly's resignation? Maybe not. She spent 37 years with DCF. That's plenty of time. Maybe this is something that can give her experience and judgment, a different focus, a nationwide lens to be able to use what she's learned to help children. The department has been recently audited, highlighting the risk of children in foster care. There's a risk of children in foster care running away. And, 203-333-9422. We'll go to Henry from the Valley. Hi, Henry. What's on your mind today? Good morning.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. I haven't spoke to you in a long time, but I had to call because, never mind the reason, because as a retiree between crossing guard, between working in cafeterias with young kids, I've had the opportunity, say, over the last 7 or 8 years, a year here and there, because I'm retired, of having lunch and just informally with DCF people, because I was at the school anyway. They see my face. Hi, how are you? And we talk and everything. They earn every dollar.
I know.
That's all I can tell you.
I know they do.
They earn every dollar, and you, me, anybody, even if you don't want to admit it, when you walk away at the end of the day, whatever your job is, it could be a grave digger, it could be a mason, you walk away and you got a little bit of pride. They walk away frustrated because they knock on doors, and many times Many times they would tell me a story, and it ended up being, it's generational almost.
Yeah, I know.
When you knock on the door, grandma answers it, and grandma needs more care than the kid, and they go back and they don't know what to do, and nobody will sign off.
I had a case once where the great-grandmother was in her early 60s. The great-grandmother, do the math. Everybody was having babies at 15.
Yes, and when you talk, you see where it comes from. So how do you go? You say, well, let's rehabilitate. Let's deal with these kids. Let's help them. It's generational.
Henry,
how can you go back 3 generations?
It's deep and
what
wide.
That would do to taxes?
It's deep and wide and systemic. It's family values that have been corrupted or abandoned over time. It's sad cases of sad people. I agree. You're not going to get an argument from me. Yeah.
No, I know, but let me just tell you, and this is a sad truth. Let's just say, okay, you got an imagination just like me. This 10, this 11, this 12-year-old, that, again, you knock on the door and you realize that it's a generational thing. In 20 years, that kid becomes a father, and he just goes on and returns. Yeah. Maybe 1 out of 10 fall through the cracks and and they become successful. But the odds against those people. And again, the frustration. When you walk away at the end of the day, you say, boy, I accomplished something today. I helped out a family. I did this and that. No, they walk away crying, or they go for a shot of booze.
Thank you very much, Henry. I get it. Okay. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. We're going to move on. Joining us, this is so exciting for me. Mary Levy will be our first guest. We're kicking off New Vance's Women's Health Matters series. And wait till you hear the bio on this extraordinary woman. The bottom line is we're going to be talking to somebody who is an administrator, so who sees the system from top down and the web, but also a true specialist in women's health care as a midwife. 203-333-9422. We'll be right back.
The Lisa Wexler Show podcast is available 24/7. Follow wherever you listen to your podcasts.
How much do you really know about designing a bathroom? At WinBath, we know and are here to help with top brands like Toto, Groa, and Moen. Our WinBath design consultants guide you through every step, whether you're remodeling or refreshing. We make it stress-free. WinBath Kitchen and Bath Showroom in Shelton is ready to help you design your perfect bathroom. Visit our showroom at 14 Forest Parkway or call 203-925-7603 today. Winning bathrooms with WinBath.
If you're a parent looking for an affordable, innovative, and caring private school right here in Fairfield County, look no further. Schoolhouse Academy is here. Located at the Old Lady Fatima property in Wilton, but entirely renovated. Schoolhouse Academy provides a full-service K-8 co-ed project-oriented art, STEM, and character-based education for a tuition of only $20,000. Compare that to any comparable school here in Fairfield County, and you will see the value. As one parent says,
"We are absolutely thrilled with the Schoolhouse Academy. Our son has gone from feeling lost in math to thriving in an advanced class in just 1 quarter. However, what truly sets this school apart is the human quality of the teachers and management. They genuinely care about the children and their unique needs. We couldn't have asked for a better place for our child to grow and succeed."
Open houses for fall enrollment are happening right now. Go to schoolhouseacademy.net. That's schoolhouseacademy.net. Teaching children to think by doing. Schoolhouseacademy.net.
Are the taxes on your financial savings cutting into your retirement? Do you truly understand the taxes on your IRAs and 401ks? Would you like a future where your taxes are minimized and investments are sound? If you're nearing or in retirement, have at least a $250,000 portfolio, Bridgelight Financial Advisors can help. Call for a complimentary consultation. They'll show you real tax savings on your savings. 203-795-7080. 203-795-7080. Bridgelight Financial Advisors, your retirement tax strategy specialists.
Columbia Dental in Norwalk is part of a trusted integrated network, offering comprehensive dental services from A to Z, all in one convenient location. From routine cleanings to advanced procedures, their expert team is ready to care for your smile. Call Columbia Dental in Norwalk today at 203-299-0111 or visit columbiadental.com. Complete dental care all under one roof.
where Fairfield comes first for news and talk. The Lisa Wexler Show on the voice of Connecticut, WICC 600 and 95.9.
And welcome back to the show. This is our inaugural wonderful start to our Women's Health Matters series sponsored by Nuvance. Our next guest, Mary Levy, Dr. Mary Levy, is a board-certified family and women's health nurse practitioner and certified nurse wife. I call her a doctor. She's a nurse as well because not only did she receive a bachelor and dual masters of science from Columbia and a degree in midwifery and women's health, but she also completed a postmaster's certificate as a family nurse practitioner from University of Massachusetts, and she got her MBA in healthcare administration and has a doctorate of nursing practice, as well as extensive clinical and leadership experience. We're going to talk a little bit about the state of women's healthcare in general, and then focus a bit on what she has done as a midwife and our choices in childbirth. 203-333-9422 is our number if you want to pick up the phone and ask any questions. Mary Levy, hello. Welcome to the show today. Hi.
Hi there. Thanks so much for having me.
Well, it's a pleasure. Am I calling you Dr. Mary, Dr. Levy? What do people call you when they see you professionally?
They usually just call me Mary. I just go by that. It's the easiest for everyone.
All right, Mary, it is. So, Mary, you have a pretty extensive educational background altogether. How old were you when you stopped going to school?
Well, right around the time I had my first child, I sort of figured, I should stop at this point because I got to focus on work and my family. But I did go to school for a very long time.
You must love school. You must love learning. You must.
I do love learning. I do. I learned that from my mom and my aunt, actually, who just loved school and loved learning. And they really taught me and my brother that from an early age.
Now, in your degrees and everything that you've done, at some point, were you also what I would call an RN, a registered nurse, who then became a midwife?
I got my degree as an RN, but I actually didn't practice as a nurse because when I decided to go back to school, my first degree was in musical theater and opera.
Oh, I love that. That was your first degree. Okay, I'm listening. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I decided to go back to school and do something that sort of helped people more directly hands-on. Because, of course, you can do that with singing, which I loved, but I decided I wanted to kind of refocus. And I decided I wanted to be a nurse midwife. And so I became a nurse, but then I went right back into school to become a midwife.
And I want to hear from you in today's world, and specifically in Connecticut healthcare. What would it mean for a woman who wants to choose a midwife to help her give birth versus an obstetrician?
So midwives provide care for patients in a variety of different settings. So I think when many people hear the word midwife, they think it has to be like a home birth or a birth center birth. But actually the majority of certified nurse midwives, which is what I am, provide care in the hospital to women throughout the state and throughout the country. And we're lucky in Connecticut that we actually have a fair number of locations and different practices where you can see a midwife for your care, including with Nuvance Health, which, is now Northwell Health.
Northwell, right. Nuvance is Northwell, and I guess at some point the Nuvance name goes away. But I wanted to let people know Nuvance because they're familiar with Norwalk Hospital, Danbury Hospital, et cetera. Yes, it's going to be Northwell. Yeah. And so as a midwife, so are you saying if I give birth, so I gave birth to my daughter Joanna in Norwalk Hospital. I frankly don't remember. I think that there might have been midwife choices then because actually my obstetrician was married to a midwife. So they're right. I think it's Dr. Ayub. He was married to a midwife. I remember that. Mm-hmm. But what does it mean in terms of if you're my midwife and you're helping me through the 9 months, are you the person that's looking at the sonogram with me? I mean, in what way are you and I interacting? Is it only a little bit leading up to the delivery itself?
No, a midwife would be your primary caregiver, just like your obstetrician throughout your whole pregnancy, assuming that you're low risk. If you end up having something high risk that occurs during the pregnancy or you come into the pregnancy with a high risk condition, then your midwife would work with an obstetrician from the very beginning or possibly a maternal fetal medicine specialist, and they would collaborate together on your care. But if you came into pregnancy without any significant conditions, the midwife would be your primary person that you would see. You'd see them for all your visits. They would look at your ultrasound reports and your lab tests and answer all your questions during all of your prenatal care. And then they would also be the person who's at your birth when you come into the hospital to give birth.
Do midwives do any surgery during childbirth?
Midwives don't do surgery, but they can act as the first assist for the C-section. So often, and our midwives in Norwalk do this, they go into the OR with the obstetrician and they help them during the surgery. But because midwives don't do surgery and they don't do other types of things like vacuum deliveries or very complicated lacerations, things like that, they always work very closely with an obstetrician as needed if those things occur.
What if there's a tear or they need to do an episiotomy to make something tear less severely?
Right. Midwives can do episiotomies. They can repair what we call first and second degree lacerations. So sort of your regular laceration that you might get at a birth, if that's what happens. But if it's a very complicated or very deep laceration, what we call a third or a fourth degree laceration, then they call the obstetrician in.
I see. We're chatting with Mary Levy, who is one of the leaders of Northwell New Vance Health in women's health as part of our women's health series. And she is a certified nurse midwife. 203-333-9422 if you have any questions about that. Statistically, Mary, do you happen to know how many women choose to have their births assisted by midwives versus traditional obstetricians?
I'm not exactly sure where we are with the statistics nationally, but I think it's about 10% of births are attended by a midwife. If you look historically, midwives attended all of the births, 100 or 200 years ago.
Right.
And then it sort of transitioned over to the hospital, it transitioned over to physicians, and now we're seeing more of an increase in transitioning back to midwifery for those patients who are lower risk.
And speaking of the lower risk, and it's controversial because every birth is its own situation. And we all know the ones that have gone bad, and then that tends to be, create fear in the minds of women. But we know that in the United States, we do so many more C-sections than objectively appear to be necessary. Is having a midwife help you along the birth? Is there any scientific indication that might reduce your chance of needing a C-section?
Absolutely. There is a lot of good evidence to support that midwifery care decreases your risk of having a C-section and actually of having other types of complications as well. Of course, a certain percentage of people are going to have a C-section. It's clinically appropriate for them. But midwives are really good at keeping things normal for as long as they can, and then also recognizing when something has become abnormal and escalating as needed.
And why do you think that is, Mary? We're chatting with Mary Levy. Like, why?
Yeah, midwifery education is really focused on birth being a normal process, but also being very vigilant. So you notice when things are going off the normal path. And so it helps women feel comfortable with what's happening and helps move and support them through the process. Obstetricians, rightly so, are really taught about all the abnormal things and what could possibly go wrong first. And they don't really learn as much of the normal portion of it because they're really focused on the high-risk side. So they're always potentially seeing a problem, whereas midwives are always trying to see what's normal and then identifying problems when they come up.
So this is very interesting to me. All right, we're going to go to the phones first, and I want to circle back to this because I want to tell you about the recent birth of my granddaughter, which was the first birth that I ever experienced where I wasn't the mother, right? So I'm not a midwife, right. And it was the only one that I was present at, and I wanted to ask you about that. Janet from Stratford, I'll let you go first. Hi, Janet. Your question, please, for Dr. Mary Levy. Go ahead, please.
Hi, I have 3 questions. Regarding C-sections, I do understand there's investigations for a high incidence of C-sections, the rise in Connecticut. I wanted to know if that's something we have any new information on.
I would say that it is an area of significant focus for us. I help run our women's health service line, and so we do a lot of quality improvement work on trying to decrease our C-section rate without increasing complications for families. So it is an area that we've really focused on. We've looked at all the research. We've tried to figure out which are the areas that have shown to be the most successful in decreasing C-sections. And we've done a lot of that work over the last 2 years, and we have seen a decrease in our C-section rate.
That's good news. My other question is, what is the difference between a midwife and a doula, a birth doula?
Yeah, great question. So doulas are non-clinical labor support. So they're a person who's learned about sort of the general process of being pregnant and giving birth, but they're not a clinical person at all. They didn't become a nurse. They didn't get a master's degree as a midwife. They're not responsible for any of the clinical aspects of your care. They don't do vaginal exams. They don't catch the baby, none of that stuff. What they're really good at and what they're trained in is supporting the birthing person through their laboring and birth experience. So they're there to help them with different positions, give them,
Can we
emotional
call the
support.
birthing person a mom? Can we do that, please?
We can, but
Thank
there
you.
are some people who don't identify that way, and so we try to
Really?
be as inclusive
Who
for
would
them
be a
as we can.
birthing person that wouldn't be a mom, Mary? Who would that be?
Well, we do have trans patients who become pregnant but identify as men. We also have others who maybe just don't identify as a mom specifically, and so we've sort of transitioned to the word birthing person to just be fully inclusive of everyone.
Okay, that's interesting. I have another question regarding placentas. I see there's a lot of use of placentas as far as helping with different medical conditions. And I recently spoke with someone who attended an event where they were promoting use of placentas injections for different diseases. So I'm just wondering what happens in birth with women's placentas if they don't donate it to these medical companies for use for medical purposes.
Not only is that a great question, I'm interested, Dr. Mary, if you know yourself through all of your training, what the uses of placentas are post-birth. That's a really interesting question, Janet. Thanks for asking that.
It's always been on my mind.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, there's a lot of controversy around placentas for sure. And I think part of it is that there isn't a lot of strong evidence or research to support using placentas for anything beyond the birth process. So there are a lot of people who will choose to encapsulate their placenta and take it to help with anemia that comes afterwards because you lose some blood normally during the birth process. There's others who will take it to help with postpartum depression, but there isn't really strong research yet to support that use. And so it's not generally recommended officially from the medical community or even necessarily the midwifery community. But if a patient would like to take their placenta home and have it encapsulated, they're absolutely welcome to. Otherwise, if they leave it with the hospital, it just gets put with all the other sort of things that come from surgery or birth at the hospital, like, if you have your leg amputated or a pathology on a biopsy taken, it just goes there with the rest of the medical pathology stuff.
Thank you so
Okay,
much,
that makes
Janet.
sense. Yes.
Those are great
Thank
questions.
you, ladies.
Thank you. Great questions.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. We're chatting with Dr. Mary Levy of New Vance Northwell Health, which is Norwalk Hospital, Danbury Hospital, and she is a leader administratively in women's health. Before I let you go, and thank you for this very interesting discussion on midwives and on midwifery, could you tell me, Dr. Levy, from where you stand as a leader in women's health administratively, what do we women in the community want to know about, generally speaking, about services for women's health at both Norwalk and Danbury Hospital? What is it that you're itching to tell us?
Yeah, well, I've loved talking about midwives. I could talk about midwives forever. But one of the things that people don't know about midwives is that they also provide a full range of gynecologic care. Similar to your OBGYN, midwives do OB, but they do full scope GYN, so they can see your teenage daughter who might be needing to see a GYN person for the first time. They can see your older woman who's heading into menopause or postmenopause and struggling with some of those symptoms. And so our midwives across our system and in Norwalk see patients, women throughout their lifespan. And we've recently opened a comprehensive women's health center at our iPark location where we're taking care of women within OBGYN and helping them navigate the healthcare system beyond just the OBGYN area, because we know that women's health is an area that's really been sort of ignored for a long time and needs to be focused on throughout all of your healthcare needs.
Can you prescribe drugs? Can you prescribe estrogen patches or whatever it is or birth control pills, whatever it is that might be prescription level?
Yes, absolutely. Midwives can do all the same prescriptions that a physician can, as clinically appropriate for what they're doing, but midwives do prescribe hormone replacement therapy. They can care for women and become specialized in menopause care, which some of our midwives are. And so you can get a similar amount of care from a midwife as you can from an obstetrician. Again, they don't do surgery, so they work very closely with a GYN physician who, if surgery is needed, they would refer you to them and you'd be able to have the surgery with them.
So if they are in postmenopausal or premenopausal care and they see that bleeding fibroids are an issue, they're not going to necessarily do any kind of surgical intervention for fibroids, but they're going to spot them and then partner with an OB to help you out, right?
Exactly. And they're going to help you figure out who is the right person to see to address that particular issue that you're experiencing. And then they'll also help you through emotionally to get through that. Because midwives and nurse practitioners are really good at supporting you through whatever medical condition you might have.
This is wonderful. I hope we can get you back on. This is Dr. Miri Levy, the inauguration of our Women's Health Series. Just before I let you go, where is this iPark Wellness thing? What town is it in?
It's in Norwalk. It's about 10 minutes from Norwalk Hospital.
Okay, perfect. Wonderful. Thank you so much, Dr. Miri Levy of New Vance Northwell Health. Thank you so much for joining us today. Pleasure.
Thank you so much for having me.
Wonderful. Women's health really does matter. We'll be right back.
To listen to the Lisa Wexler Show podcast, just search and subscribe in your favorite podcast app.
I don't mean to scare you, but a tree could be hiding damage that you simply can't see. Hey, Melissa Sheketoff here, and we had one tree in particular that was directly in front of my son's bedroom. At K&J, they have licensed arborists on staff who will do everything they can to save a tree. Like that tree I just mentioned in front of Chase's bedroom. It didn't need to come down entirely, but the parts that were problematic, those were removed immediately. Book online at kjtreeservice.com or text 203-248-TREE.
Selling your home is a numbers game. The more potential buyers who see it, the greater the opportunity to sell. And when your home is listed on Smart MLS, more than 21,000 realtors see it, and so do all their buyers. Suddenly, the number of people looking at your home starts to grow by a lot. More realtors sharing your listing, more people seeing your home, more offers coming in, and maybe even more cash in your pocket. Smart move, right? Ask your realtor. Is my house on Smart MLS? Smart MLS, the smart way to sell your home.
I love a day on the water with friends, but my moderate to severe plaque psoriasis sometimes holds me back. Now I'm all in with clearer skin thanks to Skyrizi. Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy.
Teaching music is my passion, but my active psoriatic arthritis can limit me at times. Now I'm treating my joint symptoms with Skyrizi.
With Skyrizi, most people with plaque psoriasis saw 90% clearer skin at 4 months.
Or if you are an adult with active psoriatic arthritis, Skyrizi helps you move with less joint pain, stiffness, swelling, and fatigue.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions, increased infections, or lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, get checked for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor about any flu-like symptoms or vaccines.
There's nothing like clearer skin.
There's nothing like better movement, and that means everything. Ask your doctor about Skyrizi. Visit Skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKY-RIZZI to learn more.
Back to the news and talk. Thanks to Smart MLS. Smart sellers ask, is my home on Smart MLS? The voice of Connecticut. WICC 695.9. It's the Lisa Wexler Show.
So listen, if you missed any part of that, we're going to put that up as a podcast. That was Dr. Miri Levy, Levimiri. And she is the midwife, and we learned a lot. We learned a lot about what midwives can do, what they can't do, but mostly what they can do, and the range of responsibilities and abilities that they have, and as an option for women's health, probably an underutilized option for many women. I didn't realize that they could prescribe the same meds as an OB. I didn't realize that they will watch after your gynecological health far and away from ever having children, that there were people that are midwives that specialize in menopausal women. I had no idea. And I do know that a lot of doctors don't have the time, don't have the patience, don't have the head to sit and hold your hand and spend time with you in an appointment. And midwives make it their business to do that because that's part of their mission in being a midwife. That's why they're doing it. They want to provide support, emotional support. They want to answer your questions. So, it may be an underutilized alternative for us. 203-333-9422. And we're going to be doing once a month, we're going to have a twist. So we have a lot of different wonderful medical things going on our show right now. We've got Northwell Health in general once a month, where we bring you doctors from all different disciplines, and the doctor is in. Now we've got the Women's Health Matters series, which will launch for a year. And also in and through that, we also have our Aging Gracefully series, which is sometimes accompanied by doctors, but if not doctors, different people in the community that are talking about aging gracefully. So I think we're covering the gamut of what you and I, frankly, spend a lot of time caring about and thinking about in our everyday lives. It's great to talk politics. I'm all in. In fact, Ryan Fazio is coming in at 11:05, and politics are really important because our leaders decide how our taxpayer money is spent, how much of it they're going to raise, and those decisions have an enormous impact even on our health care, right? Very much so on our health care. But when we wake up in the morning and if we have a bad knee or we have a little twitch or we fell or someone we love is facing surgery, in real life, that's really what we care about. That's really what we think about. And I'm so happy that the Lisa Wexler Show can be a forum for you to call in and ask your questions and have them answered by people who are doing this every single day. I'm really happy about this. 203-333-9422 is our number. You can call me at 203-333-9422. All right. In the meantime, in international and national matters, President Trump launching towards his big summit on Friday in Alaska. European leaders urging him not to make a unilateral Ukraine peace deal. He said that he had a conversation with Zelensky, which was a quote-unquote 10 during a telephone call the other day. Zelensky obviously worried sick that Donald Trump is going to make a deal as a proxy for Ukraine that Ukraine can't live with, including giving back territory that Zelensky says is a non-starter. And, of course, for Putin, giving back no territory at all, or I shouldn't say giving back, giving up is a better word, not giving back. Giving up territory for him is probably a non-starter as well. He doesn't want to go to the Russian people after 2 years and their countless injuries and depleting of their stash and cash as a country. You know that they're mostly having North Koreans do the fighting for them now, right? I don't know if you've been reading about this, but the North Koreans have been, originally there were 10 or 15,000 troops. There are now more. They're doing all the scut work. There was a report over the weekend that they're working 18-hour days in slave labor. They are literally prisoners now of the Russian war effort. And, of course, they're fighting in a land not their own for land that is not their own. But that's what they've had to do in Russia because they don't have enough people in Russia that want to fight against Ukraine. And the Ukrainians are depleted as well. They're trying to enlist more people than ever before. Both countries, they don't want to, they really realistically cannot keep fighting this war at the level that they've been fighting it. And the United States doesn't want to keep funding it. So Trump has every incentive in the world to try and end this thing. But the European leaders are like, look, Russia invaded Ukraine. That's pretty black and white. Russia cannot be seen to be victorious. And Trump, you have no right to give away part of Ukraine, even though the United States has been the largest supplier of arms to keep Ukraine in the battle. Without the United States, Ukraine would have had to have folded a long time ago, which is not to lessen their own individual bravery. 203-333-9422. The number of flights transporting detained immigrants is skyrocketing, but the trips are becoming more difficult to track. According to the immigrant advocacy group Witness at the Border, there have been more than 1,000 deportation flights to 62 countries since the inauguration of President Trump back in January. However, after March, the process of tracking these flights has been hindered when companies operating the flights began requesting that their tail numbers be removed from public flight tracking websites. And this comes home to roost with Avelo, because Avelo is one of the companies that raised its hand and said, yes, it could use the money and it will be part of ICE's effort to deport immigrants. If they don't have their tail numbers on things like Flight Aware, then people who are interested in these things can't really know where the flights are going. New York Attorney General Letitia James filed a lawsuit yesterday against Early Warning Services, which operates Zelle. The suit alleges that EWS knew that key features of Zelle made it susceptible for fraud, but nonetheless allowed scammers to steal over $1 billion in irreversible transfers on Zelle, in which consumers said, wait a minute, I want my money back. And the bank said no. 203-333-9422. Coming right up. Stay tuned. We'll get to know Ryan Fazio a little bit better. He's thrown his hat in the ring. He wants to be the next governor of our great state of Connecticut. Stay tuned.
WICC Bridgeport, WFOX Southport, WEBE HD2 Westport, WPLR HD2 New Haven, locally owned by Connoisseur Media.
This is CBS News on the Hour, presented by Indeed.com.
I'm Steve Kathan. America's top diplomat ahead of a key U.S.-Russia summit weighs the chances for peace in Ukraine.
We'll see how tomorrow plays out. As the president said, his hope is to interact with Putin tomorrow and sort of get a sense very quickly and early whether a peace is possible or not.
Secretary of State Rubio spoke with his Russian counterpart tomorrow. President Trump sits down with Russia's Vladimir Putin in Alaska. Trump has warned there will be consequences if the war in Ukraine does not end, and he's suggested a follow-up Trump-Putin meeting with Ukraine's President Zelensky. CBS's Nancy Cordes in Anchorage.
The concern among many Europeans is that Putin is still refusing to sit down with Zelensky, someone who he has always argued is an illegitimate leader of Ukraine, which is a baseless allegation, but nonetheless, if true, would indicate that Putin still doesn't take Ukraine's claim to its territorial sovereignty seriously and maybe isn't that serious about ending this war.
A new report indicates greenhouse gas concentrations were the highest ever recorded last year, and sea levels hit a record high for the 13th straight year. Alan Seals of the American Meteorological Society.
The trends we've been seeing in recent years do continue of warming oceans, warming air, loss continuing in glacial ice. And we're talking in many cases either record or near record changes on the planet.
Well, forecasters are now keeping an eye on Tropical Storm Erin as it churns through the Atlantic Ocean. CBS New York meteorologist Craig Allen says it's expected to become a hurricane tomorrow.
Erin is going to be moving into a much more favorable environment over the next 24 hours, and I think rapid intensification is going to become a major concern.
A Breeze Airlines flight from Virginia to Los Angeles was diverted to an airport in Colorado because of an unruly passenger. This man was seen on cell phone video subduing the man after he had gotten free from flight attendants.
My son was on there, and there was other kids on there, and so I just had to, sit him down.
And police described the passenger as intoxicated and said he yelled racist slurs and swung a skateboard. The government says inflation at the wholesale level was up last month, 3.3% from 1 year ago. Analyst Javier David.
This is a really ugly number. So producer prices represent wholesale inflation. It's what companies and manufacturers pay. What producers pay will invariably make their way down to consumers. So this is almost a leading indicator. Very ugly number.
And checking Wall Street, right now the Dow Jones Industrial Average down 83 points. The S&P is down 1. This is CBS News.
Sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Get renter's insurance to protect the things that make your place a home, including coverage for theft or damage. Visit Progressive.com.
Hey, it's Mike Rohn. If I have a choice, I like to do business with companies that actually stand for something. That's why I switched from Verizon to Pure Talk. No offense to Verizon, I'm sure they stand for something. I just don't know what it is. Pure Talk, on the other hand, is a veteran-owned company that supports our military in a big way, and I appreciate that. Yeah, I also appreciate unlimited talk and text and plenty of data for half the cost of the big guys, and I do like being on America's most dependable 5G network for just $20 a month, but what I really appreciate is no contract, no cancellation fees, and Pure Talk's commitment to handle all their customer service in this country. I saw it for myself. I went to Georgia, I got a tour of their headquarters, I met their CEO, and I talked to the same customer service folks that you'll talk to when you dial pound 250 and say keyword micro. Switch today and save 50% off your first month when you dial pound 250 and say keyword micro. Pure Talk, a wireless company that actually stands for something.
WICC 695.9, Voice of Connecticut Local News Update.
This update is brought to you by Spectre Furniture. Stay cool and get comfortable with Spectre Furniture and Mattress Gallery. Trusted for 135 years to bring you comfort and style. Visit SpectreFurniture.com. State Senator Ryan Fazio is officially launching his campaign for Connecticut governor. The Greenwich Republican announced his bid through a video posted to his social media pages yesterday. Fazio was first elected to the state Senate in 2021, representing the district that includes the communities of Greenwich, Stamford, and New Canaan. He and Westport First Selectwoman Jen Tooker are the only Republicans who have shared formal plans to seek the office next year. And Fairfield National 12U's quest for the Little League World Series championship game continues with a big win last night over Texas. The 1-0 score was due to a fantastic performance on the mound by Fairfield star pitcher Luca Pellegrini. Team manager Brian Palazzolo spoke at the postgame press conference and said he was proud of his team and proud to be representing Connecticut. The team will face off against Hawaii this Friday at 7, and the game will be on ESPN. For the Voice of Connecticut, WICC, I'm John Kamal.
WICC 695.9, the Voice of Connecticut. Weather update.
Warm and humid through this afternoon. There will be scattered showers and thunderstorms, the high in the upper 80s. Any showers or thunderstorms and this evening clearing after midnight with a low in the upper 60s to near 70. Friday, sunny, less humid, but warm with a high in the mid-80s. Saturday, sunny and warm with a high again in the mid-80s. I'm meteorologist Paul Piorek on WICC.
Attorney, advocate, author, public speaker. The Lisa Wexler Show. Flip that switch and turn on your brain. Here is Lisa Wexler.
And welcome back to the show. I'm so excited. Ryan Fazio has stopped by. Yesterday was a really big day. If you're in touch with state headlines, you know that Ryan Fazio had filed an exploratory committee, but yesterday made it official. He's running for governor. Congratulations.
Thank you, Lisa.
I would say more important in the world of worlds, congratulations officially on your engagement.
Yes, and I feel like we've discussed my relationship with Amy over the past couple of years, so you've kind of seen it blossom indirectly.
Yeah, but I didn't know much about her until you officially got engaged.
Yeah, so she's from New Canaan. We met randomly, and we dated for 2 years, and we just recently got engaged in New Canaan, so we're extremely excited about that.
Did you ask her parents for her hand in marriage ahead of time?
Yes, I did.
Did you ask both or just the dad?
I asked the dad at lunch.
That seems to be the whole thing. That's what Yotam did with my husband, too. The dad. And what did he say?
He said yes. Her mom distracted her for the afternoon earlier, and so that was a process in and of itself.
Did he give you any third degree?
No. He was very gentlemanly and generous about it. So it was... you get a little nervous for that conversation, and it was a positive conversation.
Is this your first engagement?
Yes.
This is the first girl you've ever asked to marry you?
Yes.
And so you've dated for 2 years, and why is she the one? What about her makes her so special to you?
She's a very special person. We share the same values. I think we care about family and friends, and we want to build a family and a life together. And we share everything together. We spend all of our time together, and I think we're very strong, and we're very excited to get married.
Does she know anything about politics?
Well, she's she wasn't involved in politics, but when we met, and I was already in the Senate, but she's come to really enjoy it, and she was really on the campaign trail with me for my last state Senate race, and as you know, that was an extremely challenging and hard-fought state Senate campaign, and she was with me every single day on
knocking
the trail,
on doors,
knocking on doors with me, and she loved it. She probably even had more fun than I did. So we figured, hey, why don't we run for something else together and challenge ourselves again?
Wow.
And that's what we're going to embark on
I can't
here
wait
in
to
the next
meet
year.
her.
Yes, she'll be.
So how
she'll
did
be
you
around.
propose?
We went to Waveney Park in New Canaan. She's from New Canaan.
Gorgeous.
And we
what part of the park?
There's a bench that is just west of the Waveney House. So it's around Waveney House,
Mm-hmm.
and it's actually where we had our first date. We just went on a walk and had a bottle of wine in the park a couple of years ago, and so I figured we'd go back to where we first
I've had
went on
so
a date.
many beautiful walks in that park.
It's a
such
brilliant park.
Beautiful place.
Yeah, people come from all around.
Are you
to
going to
go
get
there.
married at Waveney?
We haven't settled
You
on
could,
where we're
though.
going to do it or when.
They're beautiful weddings there.
And the house and the setting all around it are stunning. It's such a great park and asset in New Canaan.
You're not going to wait like 2 years or anything.
No. We would like to do it sooner, but logistically, it's difficult to
Usually
execute
about a
it so
year,
soon.
right?
Yeah, that's ideal. Give or take a month or two.
Give or take a month or two. Are your parents happy?
Everyone's very happy.
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone's very excited. It's for my parents. It's their first kid to get engaged.
How many are you in your group?
I'm one of four.
Oh.
But I'm the oldest, so
okay.
So it's
You're one
logical.
of four, so you come from a big family.
Yeah, a lot of cousins, aunts, and uncles. So big Italian
And you grew
families.
up in Greenwich?
I grew up in Greenwich.
And Amy grew up in New Canaan?
Yes.
Okay.
We just met randomly, but big families. We both care a lot about families, so we share that.
Very exciting.
Very exciting.
I'm very happy for you.
Thank you.
You saw my gift, Secrets of a Jewish Mother.
Yes.
First edition, signed by me, and it has because I have to say, we don't have any divorces. We're very lucky. My sister, that's not true. Her first marriage ended in divorce, and then she had the great love of Bobby. But that was such an amicable divorce that they work together to this day.
Oh, wow.
Literally work together. So there's some good hints there about keeping a relationship together. And the number one thing is communication. And you're a communicator. You're a professional communicator as a politician. But don't forget, the most important person to communicate with is Amy.
Yep.
That's
good
it.
advice.
That's the
I'm still
number
going to
one.
read the book.
Okay. Okay. That's good. So now we'll talk about, we got the most important conversation. So you've decided to run for governor. You've got two women in the race, Jen Tooker and Erin Stewart, both of whom have shown themselves to be pretty formidable money raisers.
Mm-hmm.
What makes you think you can beat them? Let's talk about at the convention first. What makes you think that you're going to gather more people in from the Republican Party to vote for you to be the Republican choice versus them?
I'm confident I'll be able to unite the party and expand the tent in a general election. My track record is doing exactly that, not only in my district, where there are sometimes disagreements within the party, in a district that is has thousands of more registered Democrats than Republicans, and I'm able to win, but also in Hartford, where I'm able to build coalitions. For instance, the 6-point plan to eliminate the public benefits charge and lower electric rates that I co-authored, we got every single Republican last summer to sign on as a co-sponsor. Those are smart, opinionated people with different points of view, even though they're all within a Republican caucus of roughly 60 people. And we got everyone to sign on that, which is unusual. So I think I have a good track record of uniting Republicans and building broader coalitions so that even in a district that I represent with thousands of more registered Democrats than Republicans, I'm able to win in spite of the odds. So
yeah, but Jen Tooker she's in Westport, and there's a ton of Democrats there, way more than the Republicans. Erin Stewart is in New Britain, way more Democrats there. They're both popularly elected Republicans. What gives you the edge?
Well, listen, I think on the merits that a odd-numbered year election, a local election for selectman or mayor, is a little less partisan. So it's a little easier. It's a little lower turnout. It's a little easier to bring people across the aisle than a legislative race for the state legislature, which is on cycle with all the federal races, including the presidential race. Those races are a little more difficult, I think, to split tickets. But, all credit to them. I have respect for them. I'm not running because I view myself as running against them. I'm running to unite the party, but more importantly, to change the state. Our race is going to be energetic. We're going to go everywhere, talk to everyone, listen to everyone, and focus on the issues and bringing positive change to Connecticut to improve people's lives. We're going to be laser focused on that. And, I view myself and our campaign as being able to win by running for Connecticut, for change, not necessarily focused on anyone we're running against.
Okay. We're chatting with Ryan Fazio, 203-333-9422, who has just officially declared his run for governor. Does that mean that I can assume that if you don't survive the convention, that you will primary in order to achieve the Republican nomination?
Listen, I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. We're going to win the convention and we're going to win the primary. That's my prediction.
Okay. We're chatting with Ryan Fazio. So to that end, Governor Lamont is a very popular governor. Even nearing the end of his second term, he's got at least a year left, he has consistent over 60% approval ratings. I think he's the third most popular Democratic governor in the country right now. And he doesn't show any signs of slowing down. What makes you think that any Republican, much less you, can beat him?
Well, I would say that the one poll, the Morning Consult poll, is not really a sophisticated poll. I think there's other evidence that the support has waned since COVID in 2022. But listen, that's what campaigns are all about. They're about prosecuting a case, and there is a strong case to be made on the merits, on the simple facts. Governor Lamont promised to cut taxes over the course of his tenure, and he's raised taxes by nearly $1 billion. If you add up the payroll tax, the sales tax increases from 2019, the business taxes, the hospital tax, that adds up to a net tax increase on Connecticut residents. He's presided over a $400 million per year increase in the public benefits charges. And listen, I think people in Connecticut want balance in their state government. They want checks and balances. They don't want one party super majorities dictating everything. They believe in pragmatism and balance, and a lot of New England voters believe in that. And I think we're going to present a strong argument to the general public that with a 2-to-1 progressive legislature, that we need stronger checks and balances in the governor's office. And in order to reduce cost of living, protect the public safety, protect local control of decision making, I and our campaign are going to present that case.
All right, we're going to talk about that case with Ryan Fazio coming right up. 203-333-9422. If you've got any questions, we'll be right back.
You're not always near your radio, but you still want to stay informed on Fairfield County matters. There are lots of ways to enjoy WICC beyond your radio at 695.9. Stream us free at work on voiceofct.com or on your smartphone by downloading our app. And now it's easier than ever to listen on your smart speaker. When you say, play WICC, the voice of Connecticut is always live, local, and free, wherever you are.
How much do you really know about designing a bathroom? At WinBath, we know and are here to help with top brands like Toto, Groa, and Moen. Our WinBath design consultants guide you through every step, whether you're remodeling or refreshing. We make it stress-free. WinBath Kitchen and Bath Showroom in Shelton is ready to help you design your perfect bathroom. Visit our showroom at 14 Forest Parkway or call 203-925-7603 today. Winning bathrooms with WinBath.
Hi, this is David from Standard Oil. Do you know why Standard Oil was voted best oil company in Connecticut? Great service, day or night. If you have a heating emergency at 2 a.m., Standard Oil has service technicians who work through the night to ensure fast response to heating emergencies, usually within 2 hours. Most importantly, great service means truly knowledgeable technicians who care about customers. For great service, day or night, call Standard Oil or visit us online at standardoil.com.
The Connecticut Lottery reminds you that gambling can be a fun form of entertainment, but it's not risk-free, so it's important to play responsibly. Make sure you understand how the games work. Know the odds, set time limits, and take breaks. To find out more, visit ctlottery.org or responsibleplayct.org. Must be 18 or older to purchase lottery and 21 or older to place sports wagers. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org.
Town Fair Tire has the area's largest inventory of name brand tires at discount prices, including Michelin tires, which give you the perfect match, a relaxing driving experience from your vehicle, along with all-season design for superior performance that stands out from the crowd. And Town Fair stands out from other dealers with the guaranteed lowest price on Michelin tires and gives you more free services for life than anywhere. Nobody beats a Town Fair tire deal. Nobody.
Name brands at discount prices. Town Fair Tire.
WICC 600 AM and 95.9 FM has your traffic covered. Listen weekdays for the most up-to-date traffic reports brought to you by Smart MLS. There's a smarter way to sell your home.
Let Southern Connecticut know what you're thinking. 203-333-9422. It's the Lisa Wexler Show on WICC 600 and 95.9, the voice of Connecticut.
And we're back with Ryan Fazio, who I've just learned is all of 35 years old, but he is an Aries. And we're going to take your calls at 203-333-9422. Ryan has officially declared his run. Ryan, what is the state Senate district that you cover? What's the number?
36. Lucky 36. 36 out of 36.
And it's Greenwich, New Canaan, and a bit of Stamford as well?
Stamford, yeah. More of Stamford than New Canaan.
Okay. All right, let's go to Vicki. Vicki Volper is on the air with us. Hi, Vicki. Vicki has been on our show as a guest. Incidentally, she's a noted mediator in family law. And Vicki, I think it's fair to say you're proud of your Democratic affiliation, right, in terms of your politics? Is that right?
Yes, that's fair to say.
Okay.
That's fair to say, although I don't necessarily agree with everything the Democrats say because they're Democrats. I usually believe in the principles that are espoused.
Okay.
My question for Mr. Fazio is this. In light of the huge cuts in federal aid that we are going to experience in Connecticut and everywhere in the country, which will reduce SNAP and which will reduce after-school programs and will reduce Medicaid, in lowering the taxes by the $1 billion you say have been increased by Governor Lamont, which services to families and individuals will you take away to reduce the taxes by that much?
Well, thanks for the question, Vicki. And listen, I think it's important that any candidate for office actually be asked the hard questions. If you're promising this, how are you going to get there? So that's a good and a valid question. Listen, if you ask whether it's Comptroller Scanlon or Governor Lamont or Secretary Beckham in Hartford, what federal result to our state budget we're looking at from any of the federal legislation that's passed, they'll kind of give you a little bit of a vague answer. But if you drill down, they'll say, we don't really think so far that there are substantial effects on the Connecticut state budget. I worked with my budget analyst in the state Senate. We think it's probably tens of millions of dollars in either direction. And it's not actually clear it's tens of millions of dollars of a negative effect on the Connecticut state budget from the federal legislation that passed. But for context, for listeners, the state budget's about $27 billion per year. So, there was different proposals in Washington that would have had different effects on the Connecticut state budget. But roughly what we're looking at is less than 1%, differential. So it's probably not going to require much maneuvering on the state level in the state budget in order to true things up. But more generally, listen, I I firmly believe that we can and must deliver tax relief to Connecticut residents. How do you pay for that? It's really three ways. You have to reduce the growth rate in spending. You don't actually have to cut spending overall, but we just passed a budget that increases spending by 5% year over year for 2 years. Most middle class and working class families across the state that I meet, they're not saying that they're increasing their spending every year by 5%. Certainly their paychecks aren't going up by that. So that's a modest change. Reduce the new bonded debt spending, so the debt finance spending that we do in Connecticut every year. We do it at a far higher rate than the rest of the country, which is why our debt levels are so high in Connecticut, and we have to pay that off in debt service in the future. And simplify the state tax code. The state tax code's complicated. There's billions of dollars of special deductions and credits and carve-outs in the tax code that help industries that are more well-connected in Hartford than regular people. I think you can clear out and simplify some of those special carve-outs for privileged corporations and industries, and that will help you reduce income tax rates on middle-class families. So you can do it without being disruptive. Absolutely. It just takes, the smarts and the hard work and the determination to do it.
Vicky?
I guess we're getting different information. Yeah, I guess we're getting different information. I've read many things that have said that Connecticut citizens are going to suffer because of the federal reduction in aid to the states, especially to blue states. And so I think we'll just have to agree to disagree on that one. And I also wonder, now this is pure not lack of information on my part, for what reason do you think that the governor increased taxes by the $1 billion that you're quoting? I was not aware of that, and I wonder why a fairly conservative man like Lamont, who is a pretty shrewd business person and is not going to go into our rainy day fund and very conservative, why would he increase the taxes? I assume there must have been a real need.
Well, listen, there isn't discipline among Governor Lamont and the Democrats in the legislature for taming the size of government and the cost of government and new spending. And so, here's the rough timeline. They increased taxes in the payroll tax by about $500 or $600 per person in Connecticut in 2019. They increased sales taxes in 2019. They increased the hospital tax in 2019. They increased the highway use tax in 2021. They delivered a slight tax cut in 2023, which I actually voted for. But then in 2025, they came back and they increased hospital taxes and business taxes again. So if you add all those up, it's approaching $1 billion per year. And listen, you have to tax what you ultimately spend and borrow. And they've borrowed and spent too much. In just this past budget, they increased spending by 5% year over year, which most families do not have the privilege of increasing their own spending of every single year. So listen, there needs to be discipline. There needs to be checks and balances. You're a Democrat. I have a lot of Democrats in my district who vote for me because they say, okay, listen, this is generally how I feel. But in our state, in Connecticut, we have a 2-to-1 majority of Democrats in the legislature and a Democratic governor, and there needs to be a little bit more balance. So we're going to build a Big Ten on this campaign.
Vicki, thank you so much. I really appreciate your call. I want to get to some other things more. I think I'd like to understand a little bit, Ryan Fazio, about how you align with Donald Trump or don't. For example, on immigration and policing. And the reason I say this is that, Governor Lamont has used his bully pulpit. Maybe he can help, maybe he can't, but he has spoken up for what he thinks is right or wrong with respect to some of these issues. If you were governor, number one, would you use your bully pulpit to speak about whether or not you think things, generally speaking, are going right or wrong? And what instructions on the immigration issue, for example, would you be giving our local law enforcement in terms of cooperating with ICE? What would you be saying as governor?
Well, it's a good question, and the answer should be answered. The question should be answered specifically because there's any number of policy measures as a governor or as the state government that we can take in order to enforce the law and protect public safety and the public interest. So I'll give you an example where I strongly disagree with the governor and the Democratic legislature. In 2019, they passed a change to something called the Trust Act, which banned state and local law enforcement in Connecticut from basically communicating with or transferring any illegal immigrant in custody of the state who has been either arrested for or convicted of any misdemeanor or Class C, D, or E felonies. It prohibits them from transferring them to federal custody or communicating with the federal authorities in any case. I think that if you are convicted of a Class C or D or E felony in the state of Connecticut,
which very often could be domestic violence.
Yeah.
It can be certain kind of robberies. Go
yeah,
ahead.
and there are cases, there are documented news stories in the past couple of years of people convicted of sexual abuse, of manslaughter in Connecticut, who were convicted, released from prison, but because of the Trust Act in Connecticut, they were let out on the streets rather than transferred for federal immigration authorities. I think that is a case where we have kind of lost our mind. Common sense has gone out the door. I think there is common ground that most people, regardless of their party affiliation, could reach. And one of them is that if you're convicted of a felony, that local and state police should be able to transfer you to federal immigration authorities rather than be forced to let you out on the street.
But what happened during this legislative session? We're chatting with Ryan Fazio.
There was a slight alteration to the Trust Act. So there were a couple of Class C felonies that are now the police in Connecticut can communicate with federal authorities, but not all Class C felonies, which again, I would say no felony. But at the same time, now an illegal immigrant who is transferred to federal authority, if they have a case under the Trust Act, they could impose liabilities and civil action on the local police forces and actually potentially get their case expedited over any other number of cases in the legal system. So I voted against that proposal because it imposes new liabilities on our police and our municipalities who are just trying to keep people safe.
Okay, we're chatting with Ryan Fazio. We're going to have a lot of time long in this campaign, but generally speaking, do you align with most of what Donald Trump is doing?
Listen, I voted for the president, and there are issues like reducing taxes and protecting the public safety and immigration enforcement, in particular, that I think drew not only most Republicans, but many independents in Connecticut and across the country to him and to his campaign. Our campaign is going to be focused on, I think, common sense and meat and potatoes, practical issues that affect people's everyday lives, like the high taxes, like the high electric rates, like the concerns about public safety. We're going to win our race by being energetic, by going everywhere and talking to everyone, and by focusing on those core issues that matter most to people.
What about housing? Governor Lamont, some people in his own party were really and still are really annoyed with him, but I was impressed, for what it's worth, for the fact that he listened to an awful lot of people within his party and from Republicans and independents and took a good hard look at 5002 and said, it's trying to do too much and it isn't exactly what was sold to me originally that it is, and I'm vetoing it.
Yeah.
And he's taken a lot of heat for that.
Yeah, and I'm glad he did that. I talked to him before it. I urged him from the first day it passed to veto it, and I think it was about 24 hours before it would have gone into effect. So the last minute he vetoed it, and you and your listeners and people across Fairfield County, regular people, deserve a lot of credit for speaking up and speaking out, and I think pushing him to that decision. I am very concerned about what is currently being negotiated. The governor did promise something
Yep.
to the legislature, and so they're negotiating something. I'm concerned it won't be good. I'm concerned it'll be 20% less bad than what was passed in 5002, and 80% bad, in my opinion, is bad. So let's see. I mean, I've and other Republicans in the legislature have said, please, we will negotiate. I actually really genuinely believe that this is an issue that's so ripe for compromise and negotiation because there's so many policy levers, and yet the Democrats, neither the governor's office nor the leadership of the legislature has called any of the Republicans to ask them to potentially negotiate. And that's something that, as of a couple of days ago, I know for a fact. Republicans in the legislature have not been asked to come to the table, and we're willing to negotiate. That's the type of balance we need back in our state legislature. Let's find some common ground. Currently, they're pushing everything without any sort of negotiation with the other side.
And that's because they have the numbers. They don't really need to come to you. Is that right?
That's right.
As a party.
That's right. Democratic governor, 2-1 Democratic legislature. We're asking for balance. I think balance is a good thing to have in life and in politics.
Ryan Fazio, thanks for stopping by.
Anytime.
We really appreciate the fact that you've chosen WICC as a forum to get your message out. We're going to be covering the campaign very closely. We have invited Erin Stewart on. Does she have a date that she's booked yet? Okay, well, Erin, you've been on our show before. If you're listening, you're welcome back on. Jen Tooker has ignored my requests. I don't know why. But Jen, you're also invited on the show. And, of course, Governor Lamont will continue to be able to talk with him as well. We're trying to give fair and broad coverage to this very, very important office. But, Ryan, congrats to you personally.
Thank you.
And professionally. It's always great to see somebody else throw their hat in the ring.
Thank you very much.
We'll be back with more of the Lisa Wexler Show. Stay tuned.
Whenever you want more of the Lisa Wexler Show, subscribe to Lisa's daily podcast on whatever app you listen.
Your business or service can reach thousands of listeners with The Lisa Wexler Show. The award-winning show is consistently ranked in the top 5 talk radio shows in Connecticut. Lisa's listeners are devoted and loyal. They should know how great your business is. Advertise on The Lisa Wexler Show. Just email Lisa at voiceofct.com. That's Lisa at voiceofct.com. The Lisa Wexler Show. If you're thinking about it, Lisa's talking about it. And that includes you. Tune in to The Lisa Wexler Show from 10 a.m. to noon and listen for The Doctor Is In, your chance to ask prominent doctors from Northwell Health your questions on everything from bariatric surgery, cancer treatment, cardiovascular disease, gamma knife and robotic surgery, and more. Listen for behind-the-scenes, in-depth discussions with Lisa Wexler and the area's top doctors. Aside from treatment options, being informed is the best weapon against illness or disease. You might not know the best questions to ask, but Lisa Wexler does, and she'll ask them during The Doctor Is In.
We know that there are 2 of the most high-risk, deadly strains of HPV, 16 and 18, which the vaccine prevents against. Those are up to anywhere from 80% associated with cervix cancer. So this vaccine is preventing acquiring those strains of the virus and thus preventing HPV-related cervix cancer. So yes, it has a major impact that we are seeing.
The Doctor Is In with Lisa Wexler, featuring prominent doctors from Northwell Health.
You can't see it, you can't smell it, but radon gas could be putting your family at risk. Radon is an invisible, odorless gas that could be lurking in your home and cause serious risk to your family's health. Protect your family with a free on-site radon test from Apex Radon Solutions, your local Connecticut certified radon specialist. Apex Radon Solutions is offering free in-home radon test kits to help you detect and protect. Go to apexradonsolutions.com today to get your kit. Healthy air, healthy home with Apex Radon Solutions.
The WICC 600 Surfside Hotel Greatest Bluefish Tournament on Earth is happening August 23rd and 24th. Visit bluefishtournament.com to learn more.
Tell everyone in Fairfield County what's on your mind. 203-333-9422. The Lisa Wexler Show on WICC 600 and 95.9.
And welcome back to the show. Our fair leader, Kristen Okeson, who looks very pretty this morning, is in the studio. And she is, what are you, the general manager of everything here at Connoisseur? What are you? What's your title? I would just think about you as our leader.
General manager works. But now I'm also overseeing Long Island.
Oh,
so
that's
Connecticut and Long Island.
right.
Yeah.
So did that change your title?
I don't know. Who cares? Right?
Yeah, but
I'm not
tell
a
us,
title
what
girl.
Long Island stations do we have? What
Walk.
Walk?
97.5 is a big one that most people in Connecticut know. And then there's The Wolf, which is our country station.
Wow.
K-Joy, which is a big station in Nassau.
I was going to say, wow. Okay.
Yeah, there's a lot.
And is Walk talk or music?
Music.
Music.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Anna and Raven is morning show.
Yeah, morning
Walk,
show.
yeah.
Right, 99.9. So, Kristen, congratulations to you, and also thank you. Because when I see, you take on this role of chairman of the board of the Center for Family Justice, I know how seriously you're going to take that role. I know how much of your time and work you're going to devote to the position. And and it's volunteer. And people who do these positions in the world, in our community, give back so much. And we need you, frankly. You know, we need people like you, as competent as you, to do these things. Otherwise, these organizations can't function.
Well, it's a lot of volunteers and a lot of great people, and of course, the president and CEO, Deb Greenwood, who you've talked to a lot, that make it all happen. But you're right.
What do they do?
Center for Family Justice?
Yep.
They support victims of domestic and sexual assault. And so the biggest thing they offer is 24/7 crisis support, which is a big deal. Advocacy services. I mean, they're a justice center. So it's not just crisis, I need help right now. It's like, what happens after? So one thing you can truly relate to is the legal part of that.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Which
people are lost. Our
they're
system doesn't
lost.
protect victims. It's
Right.
not designed to. It's designed to protect defendants,
right?
Which are very often the perpetrators.
Right.
Hello.
Right. Right. It's complicated.
Right.
And it's overwhelming if you're in a crisis situation.
I know.
So the advocacy services they provide, child and youth services, they provide camp for children in the
Do they
summer.
really?
Yeah.
That's nice.
Victims are affected by, whatever this has done to their life.
Why is this so important to you, Kristen?
Because my mother was a victim of domestic violence when I was younger.
And you watched it.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was a different time then. So I think when you, there was no one to help. There was nowhere to go. The story that I always tell people is when I go to a Center for Family Justice event and I look out and I see police chiefs in the audience, right? From every town we serve, I can't help but have goosebumps because back then when she needed help, she went to the police department and the police department said, I see him driving around. He seems fine. Right? That doesn't happen anymore. So that's
you hope it doesn't happen.
Well, you hope it doesn't happen. Right. That's right. That's right. But we're so far ahead of where we were.
Yeah,
but there's still a lot of work to do.
There's still a lot of work to do because we still have to report on too many stories of kids who were abused and neglected.
Yeah.
And women who call my show a lot and say the family court system is broken.
Yep.
This alienation thing is a way for lawyers to make money. I mean, I hear all kind of very specific allegations about how broken it still is. But it's still pretty broken.
Yes. 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 I guess I like to look at the glasses half full, but you are right. We have to be realistic.
Yeah.
And what's going on. And that's why you need organizations like the Center for Family Justice to exist. Now, we only serve the towns in this area. There are different organizations all throughout Connecticut.
Which is the area? What towns?
Okay, so Trumbull, Easton, Fairfield, Bridgeport, Stratford, and I know if Deb's listening, she's going to be mad because I'm forgetting. So Easton, did I say that?
Yeah, Weston?
Monroe.
Not much. Okay.
Trumbull. That's the majority. So it's basically the towns that are directly surrounding the
Bridgeport,
yeah,
the greater
hub.
Bridgeport area.
Yeah,
Okay.
Right.
That probably translates to a fair number of cases every year.
Sure.
Probably a lot.
Sure. Now, based on the population, there's going to be a lot of cases in Bridgeport, but don't be fooled. In some of those wealthy towns, there's some big time issues.
Well, the number one reason for police calls, at least in Fairfield County, are domestic violence issues.
Right.
Number one.
And the most violent in many cases because there's so much at stake.
So how do you help? Yes, I know. So how do you help victims if a victim calls? And let's say it's not acute. Let's say they're at the bathroom stall, right? And they're like, you know what? I'm going to call. I'm so walking on eggshells my whole life. I'm so tired of walking on eggshells. I'm going to try to call the Center for Family Justice.
Yeah.
What kind of help are they going to get?
Well, we have professionals that work at CFJ. Deb has professionals that lead all different types of departments. So there are people that work in the legal department. There are people that work in all different departments there. And that call is going to get routed to the appropriate person. So there's a main number that someone can call and they route them to the correct place.
You know that the most dangerous time for a woman is when she thinks she says she's going to leave.
Yes. Oh, I know.
So what are some of the strategies? Because I know you've been so, involved in this issue for so long, Kristen. What do you do to avoid that anger, that retaliation? What do you Do you have an underground network that you don't talk about that women sometimes have to disappear for a while with their children into?
Yeah. So I am not the professional here, so probably not the best person to answer that question. But I think the first thing to do is to know that there's people that can help you. And that's the number one thing. So, calling that number, right?
You have
So
it?
that 888-774-2900, that's the domestic abuse 24/7 crisis hotline.
Okay.
These people are trained to help you, right? But I think the first thing is to, oftentimes people think I must be crazy. Is it me, right? Anybody can call that number and just talk to somebody.
Okay.
Because chances are you're not crazy.
Yeah, right.
Got to go
Chances
with
are
your
you're
gut.
not.
Like anything in life, right?
Mm.
You have to listen
Yeah.
to your.
Well, he's
gut.
only telling me, that I can't have my phone today. I don't want to make that big a deal of it,
Right.
but it is a big deal.
Right.
What's he doing with your phone?
Right. Yeah, or controlling finances, or all the different subtle things that happen that are not subtle at all, really.
Right.
But
Don't call your mother today. What do you need to call your mother for?
Right.
Your mother's just against you anyway.
Right.
Right? The coercive control stuff. It's so real, Kristen. It
Yeah,
doesn't
but
have
if you're
to be
in
a
it,
slap.
it doesn't. If you're in it, you're a little bit clouded, right?
I know that.
So
And also, if you have children, you're very torn.
Yes.
And often if you're not someone who brings in enough to pay the rent, because money has a lot to do with it. Does the Center for Family Justice help people pay the bills?
I can't answer that question. I know that they help with shelter, which is a very expensive proposition. They have a brand new safe house that they have opened thanks to some very wonderful, generous people in our community.
Okay.
It is the address is confidential.
Of course.
But it is, and I've had, the honor of being able to see it before it opened, recently just opened, and it is unbelievable. They should be so proud of the work they did with that safe house.
And how many women, children is it for? Is it for one family at a time?
Oh, no. It's I don't know the number, but maybe 5.
Okay.
Could be around 5.
We're talking with Kristen Okeson. So as chairman of the board, what's your role?
Well, I mean, the main thing is to provide support and, I suppose guidance to Deb, who runs the organization.
To Deb Greenwood, yeah.
And to, make sure that the board of directors is doing what they can to support her efforts and the leadership team.
Where does the money come from for the organization?
It comes from grants. It comes from, local Connecticut funding, state funding. There's some federal funding. So, we have a project that Deb is working on now, which is there's currently a part of their building that houses a daycare that, thanks to a $1.2 million state bond and a $2.4 million federal grant secured by Senators Blumenthal and Murphy, they're going to be redesigning that space to expand their services in Bridgeport. So there's funding like that
For
that
daycare.
we're lucky enough
That's
to get.
great.
They're closing the daycare and they're opening up a whole new part. Currently, there is a daycare next to the office.
Oh, I see.
So they're moving that daycare out and they're renovating the whole space thanks to those funds. They're cramped. There's too many people on top of each other. In that
It's
space.
the kind of organization that you wish one day didn't have to exist. The Center for
That's
Family
right.
Justice.
You want to go out of business.
You want to go out of business.
Right. That's right.
You want to change human nature and the culture enough so that you don't have to be there. Right?
Yeah, that's right. So a lot of what they do also is education. You got to get ahead of it, right? So the team has put a lot of effort into working with high schools and students and Sacred Heart.
What does a healthy
universities.
relationship look like?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
What are the warning signs if it's not so healthy? How can you behave more healthily in your own relationship, right? We gotta
Breaking
look
the
in.
cycle. It's important to try and break the cycle. If we can even be a little bit successful, it could save lives.
So you said, Kristen, that you watched your mom be a victim of domestic violence.
Yes.
Were you able to break the cycle, you and your siblings?
Yes.
You were.
There's hope. Yeah. I'm very aware of that. So, and I'm happy that That's not always easy.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. How's your mom?
She's okay. You know, there's a story I've never told, which is that she listened to a radio show in Waterbury every day on WATR. And there was nowhere to call back then, right? You know, so if the police department said, we see him and he seems fine, what do you do? And she walked into the radio station, to the show that she was listening to. And he, the host on the air, helped her.
Did he?
And that was the start of it. Yeah. How
That's
she got
good.
out.
Is that right?
Yeah.
And it gave her a better life eventually.
Yes, eventually.
Yeah. Were
But
you
yeah.
already grown and out by then?
No, I was young.
So that's good?
Yeah.
So she didn't wait forever and ever, your mother? No.
Too long, but.
It's always too long.
Yeah.
Right? You always can say that.
Yes.
But at least you do something.
Yes.
Yeah.
So if I may give a little plug to something going on at CFJ,
Please.
There's a book that Beverly Gooden wrote called Surviving, Why We Stay and How We Leave Abusive Relationships. She is speaking at their big event in September.
Maybe we can get her on the air.
That's
We'll
a
try and
great
get her on
idea.
the
We'll
air.
try to do it.
Yeah.
It's their Speaking of Women event.
Okay.
Which happens every September. It's September 9th. There's about 400 people in the room at the Waterview in Monroe, and it's a phenomenal. Have you ever been?
No.
Oh, if you can come, you should come be my guest. It's
Thank
a
you.
beautiful afternoon. Everyone's there, and it's a celebration, really, of all the work they do. But they do need these events to be successful because funding is more important than ever. And it's hard right now. I'm sure you hear that from all different nonprofit organizations that you talk to.
What I'm hearing is, like, we just had Ryan Fazio on, and we had a caller ask about funding and how that was going to intersect. And Ryan said he basically thought that the federal funding shift was going to be de minimis to the Connecticut budget, and that Connecticut was going to find ways to, figure it out. But other politicians, and they're trying.
They are.
Yeah.
It's still difficult.
Yeah, it's still difficult.
But they
it's never going to be easy, Kristen.
And it's always like, what is next year going to be?
That's right.
It's like a lot of Band-Aids and trying to figure it out. And
you have to remember, the organizations that help people like this typically don't help wealthy people. It's not like, I'll just give an example. If you're a cancer fighting organization for pick a cancer, it's likely that within the people victimized by that cancer, you may have some people that are rich.
Yeah.
Because cancer is that way. It
Sure.
strikes at everybody. But if you're helping victims of domestic violence, not too many of them have too many resources. So you have to get the money from other sources. You see what I'm saying? Some not-for-profits have a natural constituency that they can go to the people they help and they can say, help us. But something like this, you just have to care about this issue.
Yeah. I think it's bigger than that, though, because I think people that are wealthy are certainly affected by domestic violence. And because the spouse or partner oftentimes controls the finances, they really do need help. However, I think the bigger issue is that sexual violence, domestic violence, child abuse, these are not sexy topics. So if you want to get behind an organization or, and make a sizable donation, those organizations aren't at the top of the list. But breast cancer is, and I'm not saying that's not important, but those are things that people understand. They know they need funding. It's right.
Right.
So I give a lot of credit to some really wonderful people who have given a lot of money to CFJ. Now, granted, we need a lot more, but
yeah,
I think that's a big issue.
And I think you're right in saying that they do affect all walks of life.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Kristen Okeson, thanks for signing up to do
Thank
this.
you for
Chairman of the Board of the
having me
Center for
and
Family
for all the
Justice.
good work you do.
Oh, we do it together. We'll be right back.
Thank you.
The Lisa Wexler Show on WICC 600 AM and 107.3 FM. Did you miss part of the show? Grab Lisa's podcast. Just search in your favorite app.
Are you looking for a school for your child with a learning challenge? Winston Preparatory School is a leading school network for students with learning disabilities, including dyslexia, ADHD, and nonverbal learning disorders. Learn more about Winston Prep's highly individualized learning programs in Connecticut, Long Island, and New York that will help your child thrive. Visit winstonprep.edu for more information and schedule an in-person visit for a campus closest to you today.
I'm Barbara from Trumbull, and I've used Steve Basso Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning since 2012 when he diagnosed the source of a carbon monoxide problem when no one else could. I use him for maintenance and emergency situations for that reason. He has always been able to fix any problem in my home. There's no one better than Steve Basso.
Looking for a reliable plumbing or HVAC company? Steve Basso Plumbing, Heating, and AC has proven customer satisfaction since 1974. Go to BassoPHAC.com. That's BassoPHAC.com.
I love a day on the water with friends, but my moderate to severe plaque psoriasis sometimes holds me back. Now I'm all in with clearer skin thanks to Skyrizi. Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy.
Teaching music is my passion, but my active psoriatic arthritis can limit me at times. Now I'm treating my joint symptoms with Skyrizi.
With Skyrizi, most people with plaque psoriasis saw 90% clearer skin at 4 months.
Or if you are an adult with active psoriatic arthritis, Skyrizi helps you move with less joint pain, stiffness, swelling, and fatigue.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions, increased infections, or lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, get checked for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor about any flu-like symptoms or vaccines.
There's nothing like clearer skin.
There's nothing like better movement, and that means everything. Ask your doctor about Skyrizi. Visit Skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKY-RIZZI to learn more.
Experience the future of primary care right in the palm of your hand. With Hartford Healthcare's HHC 24/7 app, you'll get expert primary care anytime from the comfort of home. Connect with a virtual provider and concierge team who know your medical history. Use HHC 24/7 for acute illnesses to manage your medications, chronic conditions, specialty referrals, and more. All major insurance plans are accepted. Text HHC 247 to 85209 to download the app and never wait again for care with Hartford Healthcare.
Back to the news and talk. Thanks to Smart MLS. Smart sellers ask, is my home on Smart MLS? The voice of Connecticut. WICC 695.9. It's the Lisa Wexler Show.
Well, we've got a bunch of wonderful podcasts for this afternoon. We spoke with Ryan Fazio for quite a while, got to know him a little bit in his quest to become governor. We had a marvelous conversation with Miri Levy, who is going to be, she is a midwife at New Vance Northwell Health and answered a tremendous amount of questions. And then, of course, Kristen Okeson, the Center for Family Justice, 203-333-9422. You can call me at 203-333-9422. Sylvester Stallone and the rock band Kiss are among this year's Kennedy Center honorees. I know you already know that. You want to tell me? 203-333-9422. What do you think about that? I will tell you that Gene Simmons' life is pretty extraordinary, the leader of Kiss. You know, his mother was a Holocaust survivor of the camps. I don't know about his dad. And he just really had an extraordinary life before he got to this country. I think they made a pit stop in Israel before they got here. Donald Trump has been criticized very roundly, very strongly for taking over the Kennedy Center. But those who criticize that should also know, and it may not change your criticism, but you should also know that he's allocated something like 9 times the regular amount of money to the Kennedy Center for funding for this year. And he's declared that he wants to rebuild what he calls a tired facility and basically get it up to snuff again. So I guess along with the ballroom that he's building in the East Wing, he wants to have any spaces over which he could have control, any physical spaces, to be in the gilded mode, like the Gilded Age. 203-333-9422. All right. I'm going to just remind you, if you're just tuning in now, to watch on Friday as Fairfield's Little League team faces off against Hawaii in the Williamsport Little League National Games, because that's a big, fun local story, and we want to cheer on our home team. That's really what we want to do. We want to cheer on our home team. Tomorrow we're going to do the kindness of strangers, incidentally. Speaking of our governor's race, New Britain Mayor Erin Stewart has raised more than $300,000 in small contributions on her way toward qualifying for public financing against Governor Lamont, as she faces off against both Jen Tooker, who also, I believe, had a pretty successful fundraising quarter, and Ryan Fazio, who just announced yesterday that he'll be starting to really raise the money to do that. A complaint claims that Bridgeport schools violated the rights of children with disabilities, including repeated self-injuring incidents, children with disabilities with no special ed teachers. The nonprofit law firm is called the Center for Children's Advocacy, and they filed a complaint with the state stating that because Bridgeport school systems do not have enough staff, they have resulted in diminished special ed services, and they're asking the Department of Ed of the state to step in and address the situation. As of now, the district communications office writing to the Connecticut Insider that they have no official response, but the allegations are pretty specific in the complaint. And they note how one child whose IEP requires weekly speech and language services was denied such for an entire school year. And they go into some other details. So in the meantime, a multi-state coalition, according to Connecticut News Junkie, appears likely to succeed in its claim that the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services' decision to allow free access to personal health data to ICE and Homeland Security violates a prohibition on arbitrary rulemaking. Now, this is another big thing. Tong announced yesterday that the U.S. District Court for Northern California had granted a preliminary injunction blocking DHS from using Medicaid data from the states for immigration enforcement purposes. This is all part of a piece where the Trump administration is basically saying that anybody who has any data about people should have to share it with ICE for the purpose of deporting illegal immigrants. We've been talking a lot about the IRS, which last had another Billy Long, its latest of 7 in the last year, people that were interim running the IRS, either resigning or being fired. And there is quite a bit of resistance to doing that. We'll see if this district court decision holds up in an appellate review. But Connecticut is insisting that if it has data and it's otherwise collected for health or for taxes, that they don't think that it should be shared with ICE for immigration purposes. So that challenge goes on. We're going to talk about other things tomorrow, but keep your dial tuned right here to WICC. The download up next from 12 to 2. And then it is Connecticut Today. Paul Pacelli did Judy this morning with Melissa, so we'll have Eric Erickson on a bit longer and lots of best stuff for you to enjoy. Stay tuned.
WICC Bridgeport, WFOX Southport, WEBE HD2 Westport, WPLR HD2 New Haven, locally owned by Connoisseur Media.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by Progressive Insurance.
I'm Steve Kathan. Cautious optimism from Secretary of State Rubio ahead of tomorrow's Trump-Putin summit.
We're hopeful. We want there to be a peace. We're going to do everything we can to achieve one. But ultimately, it'll be up to Ukraine and Russia to agree to one.
CBS's Nancy Cordes says Trump wants Putin to end the war in Ukraine.
You will see a meeting where it's just President Trump, President Putin, and their interpreters, and no one else. Then the meeting will open up, and their advisors will be involved, more typical for these types of situations. And then there's going to be a joint press conference, Trump and Putin, after the meeting wraps up.
In the Middle East, Jerusalem reporter Linda Gradstein